Hello and welcome to Aha Moments. This one is called Satisfaction and was originally sent out September 18th of 2023. Now, I think it's wonderful that we're here and we can have this discussion about Aha Moments. However, if you want to get them in your inbox every Monday morning at 8 a.m., just register at jrain.com and you'll get them and some other really cool things that are going on. But happy to have this discussion over and above reading the Aha Moments. And what's cool about the Aha Moment, about the Aha Moment Mondays that I write that are released every Monday morning, is that there's a message embedded, but oftentimes there's more than one aha. And what I find really cool is when people respond with their thoughts or how the aha impacted them. And sometimes it's a little different than what my intended message was, but that's what's so cool about an aha moment in general, not just these, but in general, is that the meaning is directly related to the experience that the individual is having at that time, wherever they are on their path, on their journey, and their conditioning. That's what the aha is all about, right? It's all relative to the individual and the experience. So no two people will read one of these ahas and get the exact same message out of it. Nobody, which is really cool. That's what I love about having this discussion. So I get a chance to take that under 60-second read and just expand a little bit and say, this is kind of what I meant on this, or here's another example of that. And then we trigger the aha moments one after the other, right? So, okay, I'm going to call it up and I'm going to read the one that was sent out on the 18th. And then, as I said, I'll just add a couple more notes and messages to that and how it came to be. So it's called Satisfaction. And it starts like this. What are you getting ready for? The big break? Just the right customer? A program launch? Retirement? A race? A promotion? A baby? I remember being in the audience of about 5,000 people to see and listen to Zig Ziglar. It has to be more than 20 years ago now, but the experience was so impactful. I remember much of it, what he said, how he presented, how he made everyone feel. And then I had a brief moment with him at the end to thank him for all of it. Zig had a way of engaging the audience to list benefits and programming, incorporate that input to break success down in its simplest form and deliver a most inspiring message. One of his clear messages was that you can't expect to be in the game without becoming ready. What we saw of Zig's presentation was that he was candidly rehearsed. In other words, he was so good that his information seemed to flow out naturally, enthusiastically, and without missing a beat. Many people would simply say he was a natural. But what Zig confessed was that while everyone else was out partying the night before, he was in his hotel room reviewing his notes and practicing his presentation. Here's the clincher. Zig wasn't getting himself ready to present. He was getting himself ready to receive. Aha! Abundance arrives when you're in the vibration to receive. And that vibration happens when you're getting ready. You see, you're conditioning yourself, readying yourself with behaviors, actions, and rituals while feeling the energy of success so that when the coach calls, you're ready to get in the game. When you don't feel like writing, write. When you don't feel like doing the dishes, do the dishes. When you don't feel like moving your body, move. When you don't feel like making that call, make the call. When you don't feel like having a shower, shower. When you don't feel like getting on that webinar, get on. When you don't feel like cooking, cook. About 95% of our decisions are based on how we feel in the moment. But confidence and satisfaction come from doing, especially when that something brings personal satisfaction. Zig achieved a huge level of satisfaction sharing his stories and inspiration. And as Abraham Hicks says, when you quiet yourself and pay attention to living in an energetic field of satisfaction, there is no resistance. And at that moment, that's when momentum happens. Life happens one moment at a time. Oh, so much in there. So much in there. So I want to point out a couple of little things. One is getting ready. So getting ready, and often we think of getting ready like, again, all the rituals and behaviors that you would do. So you want to get ready for your retirement. What are you going to do? You're going to put some money aside. You're going to look long term in terms of do some calculations. You're going to perhaps look at where your properties are. You're going to take care of your house. You're going to talk about, maybe traveling or what you're going to do in your retirement, right? You're thinking about that longer term. Whether it's getting ready for a customer, a big break, getting ready for a race, whatever it is, there are certain actions that you're going to be doing in order to get ready for that. And of course, anything that you're getting ready for is always fueled by a why, right? You have a good, strong reason. The stronger the reason, the stronger the why, the more apt you are to fulfill those regular behaviors and rituals that you need to do on a regular basis, right? So how good are we at doing that? Now, I mean, I'll put my hand up. I always say, whenever I'm writing these ahas, I'm always talking to myself first. So I'm always self-analyzing, checking in with myself and saying, how am I doing with what it is that I want to accomplish, where I want to go, where I want to be, who I want to be, right? I was reading something the other day and they said, don't be the light, go to the light. So you're always looking at what is the light. I know Abraham Hicks talks about that too. What is that light that she keeps talking about? And she refers to it as satisfaction. So when you are in that energetic field of satisfaction, you're doing what pleases you at that time. So how many times, I'm going to use this example, how many times have we been in a situation where there's something, maybe there's a dinner that we need to go to, and we really don't want to say no, we really think we should go, and sometimes it works out really well, and and sometimes it doesn't, but at that time we feel some obligation, right? And we need to check in with ourselves, as what Abraham was saying on this one particular clip I was listening to about satisfaction. She says we need to check in with ourselves, because if we are always people pleasing and we're always putting our energies towards making something work for someone else, and we're not paying attention to ourselves, it means that there's resistance, right? There's some resistance, that we're not honoring our own flow and what makes us satisfied and happy, right? So this is a big one for me. And I don't know where you're at in your journey, but some people just seem to be able to look after themselves really well right from the get-go. And I think my internal programming was about, I remember my dad used to say that, you can't the world's not going to fit itself into you. You have to fit yourself into the world. So in other words, it's not about you, it's about everybody else. And even in the German tradition, when they write the word I, it's in lowercase. And I actually like that. And I would wish my system wouldn't constantly correct to make it a capital I, because that to me is all about ego. But I think that the message is that we're a community and we need to work together. And while I agree with all of that, it comes down at the end of the day that if you don't look after yourself, and as they say, don't put on your own oxygen mask first, then you can't help anyone else, right? The other thing is that we are all here for a reason, and we say that and we hear it over and over again. It's just so important that we understand that we have a unique set of capabilities and desires and drive towards something that only we can do. And being in that position of satisfaction means that whatever it is that you're meant to do, you're following in that, just like a stream. They always say, water will take the most convenient path, right? Just going with that flow. If you're constantly bucking and resisting, you're constantly doing things you don't want to do, working in a job you don't like, being around people that are antagonistic, always having to, I'll say wear a mask, and I don't mean that literally, as I hope we're done with all of that nonsense, but wearing a mask, being somebody that you're not, again, people pleasing. I mean, all of that is self-sabotage. All of that is just saying you're giving it away. And good for you for being part of the community and sharing your energies with everybody else. But at the same time, I think at the end of the day, and I see this with children and their parents, where so many parents sacrifice for their kids, and there's a level of guilt and uneasiness with it, both with the parent and with the kid. And kids pick up on that stuff. Kids want their parents to be happy too. They really do. So if the parents are always, frustrated and tired and overwhelmed and everything, the kids will pick up on that. And they don't want that. They don't want the guilt associated with it, but they don't want you to be unhappy. They don't want you to suffer for them. They really don't. They want you to be happy. They want you to be in the flow. They want you to feel confident. And when you do, of course, needless to say, that rubs off on them. But it is the whole energy, again, of being that light, right? What is that light that we're going towards? And that light is satisfaction. So, I've said to people lately that I think there's, when you're adulting up, you got to do the hard work. You got to face the fact that you're not thinking short term, you're thinking longer term, you're thinking bigger picture. How does everything, I do impact others for sure? But it's more, if you're thinking about the impact of others, then it's more of the ego, I believe, as opposed to saying, what is the way that I could best fulfill who I am? And this, again, is a big one for me. And not that I haven't heard it, and not that I haven't known it, and not that I haven't been working towards it for a really long time, but really, really embodying the fact that it's okay to take for yourself first. It really is okay. In fact, it's better than okay. It's what you're supposed to do. So that putting on the oxygen mask first, right? So what does satisfaction mean to you? When I mentioned about, if you don't feel like doing the dishes, do the dishes. If you don't feel like moving your body, move your body. It's really important to do that, partly to kind of get over that hump, because as I mentioned, there 95% of the decisions that we make on a regular basis are how we feel in the moment. So it's kind of, I don't really feel like that. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you saying to yourself? So when you feel that, in order to get sort of over that hump to adult up, also to have some personal satisfaction about the fact that, you knew that that was important. I love my house being in order. And I, on a regular basis, I'm not a clean freak in terms of always having to polish everything, but everything is in order. I like when things are organized and I can find things. I mean, when I get up in the morning, I make my bed, after I have shower and do whatever it is in the bathroom, the towels are folded and the counters are wiped and everything's put back together. Because anytime I walk into a room, I don't want to walk into chaos. I don't want to walk into heaps of things around. I want to walk in and I want to see organization, and I want it, to me, it's like the platform for possibility. So you can't have possibilities in chaos, because first you have to put order back in. And that's just how the universe works. So when you start to put yourself back into order, then you have sort of that baseline, right? And now the routine starts. So or the routine, or I'll say the rituals more than a routine. But right now I'm involved in a group. I don't know if you've heard about this 30-day squat challenge. I know people have done it off and on, different groups of people, and they join together and they become accountability partners. And it was probably one of the most unlikely groups that, invited me to be an accountability partner. I was like, sure, I'm in. And it's really fun listening to the comments and seeing the memes, and some people post their videos and stuff. It's really kind of cool. But it's so there are days when it's kind of like, oh crap, like I haven't done my squats, and because I have committed to it, I'm going to do it. Now they do plan some rest days in there, but I didn't always do the rest day that was planned, because it was like the day ran too late, and then I didn't want to be exercising at 11 o'clock at night. But then it was like, okay, I'm going to call that my rest day. When rest day comes, I'm going to keep going. And I try and do my squats outside, and that was a commitment that I wanted to make, accountability to this, but also the commitment that I have to myself over the last couple of months, especially learning so much about natural light and the Earth's energy. One thing that is bringing me so much pleasure and so much satisfaction right now is walking down to the park. And half the times I walk, barefoot on the grass, but definitely when I get to the park, shoes are off, I'm, barefoot in the grass. And I always go during when the sun is out. So last night the sun was setting, so I still caught it. It was actually gorgeous and a beautiful, energetic time to be outside. Sunrise and sunset for sure. And I literally in the middle of the park, I found myself a tree, so I wasn't in the middle of everyone playing soccer and everything, but I did my squats barefoot on the ground facing the sun. And then I walked back home, and that was about an hour to go down or do the squats and come back. And I'm telling you, it made me feel amazing. And so these little things that we do for ourselves, whatever that is, whether for you it's going to the gym, whether it's writing, whether it's calling a friend, whether it's having a bubble bath, whether it's going shopping, like whatever it is that energizes you, we need to find bits of time during the day to do that. And I'm going to point, to the Earth's energy above all, that we make sure that we get our face in the sun, our feet in the grass. I don't live too far from Lake Ontario, but the Lake Ontario is, it's not like there's beaches and it's cold and, I don't know how great that water is, but not something that, on a regular basis that I'm going to be able to have access to go swimming in or anything. So I don't have that feeling of standing on the, in the ocean and having the water lapping up, which is just like ideal, to do that. But getting your body on the ground, feeling that earth's energy, getting your face in the sun. And I mean face in the sun, like no hat, no sunglasses, no sunscreen, not anything. And even if you feel that the sun, you can't spend a lot of time in it, you need to spend some naked time in the sun, and I'm not saying overexposed because, too much of anything is wrong, but do what you can. I haven't worn sunscreen all summer, and I just kind of manage. Sometimes I just wear long sleeves or I find shade or whatever it is, just to kind of make sure that I'm getting the sunshine without damaging or without, harming myself, right? But I definitely, don't wear sunglasses. Sometimes I will wear a visor, to kind of just give myself a little bit of a break from the sun. But Earth's energy is so important. So whatever that is that gives you satisfaction, and whatever that's when, Abraham says that, that's where the momentum is. That's when you're peaceful and you're happy and you're allowing something to come in. So as I mentioned, like Zig wasn't getting ready for his presentation, he was getting ready to receive. That's a huge difference, right? And what was he receiving? He's putting all of this abundance out there, but from everything that he puts out, how much was coming back to him, for so long. And what a really magical human being he was. And again, in that session, I remember afterwards, I say 5,000, it's probably 7,000 or 8,000 people there. And he stayed at the end for anybody who, wanted to say hello or sign his book or whatever. I stood in line, I don't know, maybe half an hour. And he just was present with each person, and we had a photo, and I just thanked him, for being for being there, for being who he was. And, there was, I think in the footnote on this aha, I mentioned that he said as a vacuum cleaner salesman, he was a door-to-door vacuum cleaner salesman, and he was illiterate. He didn't know how to read or write. And he had to remember all of the addresses and phone numbers and names of all of his customers as he saw people on the street, so that he could give all of that information to his wife at the end of the day so she could write up the orders that he took. So can you imagine, look at what we do electronically. Do you even have a phone number of anybody off the top of your, on the top of your head? Probably not, right? So we don't keep any of that information. Imagine what he tasked himself to do and how he needed to discipline himself. His why was pretty strong. He wanted to provide for his family, and he knew how to sell. He was great in front of people. He was very, compassionate and wanted the best for people. So he was able to demonstrate and able to give them something that he felt was, would make their lives better. And how wonderful of that. But look what he had to do in order to get those orders and make sure that they were delivered right. So I don't know anybody these days who would put themselves in that position, but he did. So, and he continued to over the years, right? So what are the rituals that you're willing to do? Remember that, in order to override anything, you always need to be making those decisions in the present. How do I feel right now? It's easier to just go grab some fast food than cooking. So that's a big one for me. I'm not a fast food person. But many times I think about it, I'll just go through the drive-through. I don't, because I catch myself and go, you don't need a drive-through. You've got food at home. Just pack up something quickly, or have nothing, or bring a drink. You can get something later, right? So it is that kind of discipline of overriding the emotions and deciding what's worth it. And again, creating the satisfaction for yourself many times during the day to allow yourself to get ready to receive. So I hope that was meaningful to you. I hope that you got something out of it. And if you want to like, share, and subscribe, I'd be mostly grateful. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And as always, succeed deliberately.